at this point.
And what are you telling people when they do call in?
We're certainly telling people to either go to NOAA.gov or tune into local media to monitor things, and if they see anything significant, to then take appropriate shelter. If anything develops, for wires down, trees down, or other hazardous conditions, to make sure that they're dialing 911.
Is that level of emergency response based on number of calls or severity or both?
That level of emergency response is really based on the situation. Like I say, as of right now, we haven't had a significant spike in emergency response based on the storm. That is somewhat anticipated because typically the storm needs to get well established in the area, and then we start having the responses, and those will peak over the next hour or so.
You know, Chief, I'm not sure what kind of precedent there is for this, but it seems like every time we get a watch or a warning, which is pretty rare, it seems to be that it happens in western Massachusetts. My mind goes back to 1994 and the tornado that went through Great Barrington. Short of saying that this is something that you're familiar with, is this something that you at least do drills for or have some level of response prepared because of the history?
Yep. Through our emergency management efforts, I think we're perhaps a little bit more familiar than most, and I can tell you, being a fire chief in the eastern part of the state with some microbursts and so forth for years, it was nothing compared to what I've experienced in the last 13 or 14 years in Northampton. And Northampton in particular, it seems we have about 5 years of history of the first week of June. We always seem to encounter something significant in terms of weather.
Our weather team is seeing some intense activity in Westhampton, Chief. Are you hearing anything from them?
Yeah, I just got a call through one of my deputy chiefs relative to, again, golf ball size hail in much of Westhampton. The county has gone on alert, notifying and staffing all of the volunteer fire departments in the area.
So that is where the report of golf ball sized hail came from. That was Westhampton.
Right, and typically that will follow east, looking at the cell into Northampton. So I think we're on the western edge of Northampton at this point.
All right, Chief Brian Duggan, thank you so much from the Northampton Fire Department, talking about the response there as we get a live look at the radar right now, and a lot of intense activity out there as people keep an eye to the skies. I mean, this is not something that we usually see around here, pretty rare, and obviously a lot of people pretty tense right now.
Once again, just for clarification, a tornado watch up for most of Massachusetts through 8 o'clock tonight. And Jeremy, as these severe storms move through, even if you're not under a tornado warning, what should people be prepared for?
Well, right now the area is shaded in yellow. You should just, keep an eye to the sky. If you're a fan of Twitter, stay logged on to Twitter. Watch us throughout the afternoon, because the yellow area means that the atmosphere is ripe for thunderstorms that will twist and turn. Rotating thunderstorms, and that's why we have the concern this afternoon for the threat of tornadoes. That red box, that's where we actually have a radar indicated tornado warning. That's for Hampshire County for the next 15 minutes. That's until 4 o'clock. And it is not showing any signs of collapsing or weakening, so that starts to become a greater concern for our part of the world, because eventually this holds together and it moves toward Hadley, and then perhaps even into Petersham within the next 45 minutes to an hour. So again, tornado warning for Hampshire County for the next 15 minutes. So I would say the area of greatest concern would be Worcester County, because you guys are closest to that line of thunderstorms. Not to say that Worcester County is going to see a tornado, not advertising that, but we're just saying that the line of thunderstorms that are capable of tornadoes, that now is beginning to approach western Worcester County, Barre, Petersham, perhaps West Brookfield within the next hour. So you should start to think about your severe weather plan. And perhaps you're saying, well, I don't have a severe weather plan. That's okay. We'll talk you through that. It's basically an interior room, basement, and stay away from windows. So that, again, if that becomes an issue for Worcester County, that's what you'll hear us talking about throughout the afternoon.
Jeremy, not to put you on the spot, but just refresh my memory. It was just a few months ago, actually. Didn't we have some kind of warning or watch like this in the Worcester County area?
Well, we had, I don't think we had a, Pete, did we have a tornado? I don't think we had a tornado watch, but we've had thunderstorm watches in effect, yes. Now, the difference between that and today is that those thunderstorms on that particular afternoon weren't quite rotating. And the thunderstorms out there right now, they are rotating quite a bit, so that's why we have the concern.
And the forward speed on these storms is significant. So break that down for us. If somebody hears some rumbles of thunder in the distance, how long at that time will they have to go ahead and get downstairs into that interior room? Tell people what they need to know.
Well, rumbles of thunder indicates that you're close enough to be struck by lightning. So, if you're outside thinking you can squeeze in some yard work, say up near Orange right now or Gardner, you're running out of time to be outside because those are severe thunderstorms. Again, Orange is not under a tornado warning right now.
So if I'm in Worcester and I have to go pick up my child right now, it's still safe to go grab my child, come back home,
absolutely,
get downstairs?
Yeah, Worcester's still fine. Worcester's fine. The eastern side of Worcester County, we're okay right now. It would be out near the Quabbin, the Brookfield area, Athol, Royalston, Petersham, New Braintree. Those locations, they are under the gun over the next 45 minutes to an hour for some intense lightning, brief heavy rain. Winds may gust near 60 miles per hour. And the possibility, again, the possibility of a tornado. Again, we're watching a tornado warning right now in the Northampton area. We have not confirmed that touchdown. It's what we call radar indicated tornado, meaning the radar can actually see inside the thunderstorm. It can see what the wind is doing inside those thunderstorms.
You talked about obviously heading to the basement or someplace like that. If a person doesn't have a basement, what are some other things that they should be doing to keep safe?
An interior room is the best place, and perhaps you live in an apartment complex. The laundry room will work real well in that situation. The lowest floor of your residence. So if your third floor of an apartment, get off that third floor, move to a low floor, avoid windows. I know everyone wants to watch, but that's after the fact. Let's be safe first. So avoid windows, especially in this case, windows on the west side of the house, because the storms are coming from the west. So that's where your strongest wind is going to be, is approaching those western windows. And again, if you are perhaps thinking about trying to get outside for a few minutes or so, just stay inside, especially in the western side of Worcester County.
And if we have learned anything from this extremely active tornado season, from what's gone on in the South and the Midwest, it's that we often have very little warning. And, the folks in Joplin, they only received 17 minutes of warning, and we all know what went through there. Clearly a much different situation here. Just curious about accuracy. Comparing what is seen on radar to prompt one of these tornado warnings compared to visual confirmation, I'm assuming that the visual confirmation turns out to be true more often than not.
Yes, it is, absolutely. Because, that's the last mystery one of the last mysteries of meteorology. Why don't all of these radar-indicated tornadoes develop into actual tornadoes? That's, PhD physicists and meteorologists, they can't quite figure that one out. What's the missing link there? Why some of them do and do not develop a tornado. So obviously, if you can actually see a tornado or a funnel cloud, that's the best way to issue a tornado warning. But in this part of the world, as you point out, Matt, it's different than the Southern Plains. The Southern Plains you can see for several miles. There's not a lot of foliage, and the land is flat. Here in New England, we have neither of that. We have rolling terrain, and we have a lot of forest, especially out as you get outside of the 495 corridor.
I have to wonder, too, is that why we see more devastation, more damage in places like the Midwest? Because it seems like those tornadoes just race right through. Nothing really to stop them.
Correct.
There's a lot of inertia there.
Absolutely. And, the Storm Prediction Center, when they issued this tornado watch, they said the risk of tornadoes is moderate, but they also said the risk of EF2 or higher tornadoes is actually low in New England. And what we have been seeing on the news for the last several weeks from Joplin, from Tuscaloosa, from St. Louis, those are EF4s and 5s. Those are rare breeds. Those are the dinosaurs, the big beasts of the tornado spectrum. Here in southern New England, we can see EF3s and 4s, but we're focusing on EF0 and EF1, and that means winds between 65 miles per hour to perhaps as high as 100 miles per hour.
That typically cause cosmetic damage only, or more severe?
Typically it's minor damage, trees, tree limbs. Now, if you have a tree that comes down into someone's roof, that's not minor, that's huge. So that, it's kind of a delicate situation. But what we were seeing in the